we go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome.
Hello.
Okay. Do you want to share your screen and see if that works? For those of you that are in the with us live, if you could put who you are, where you're from. Also, if you've heard of CarFit or now, or if you have heard of CarFit or not, we'd love to know that. And
You need to give
oh,
me access for sharing my screen,
oops.
Kara.
Okay, now try it.
There we go. Okay.
Okay.
Can you see that?
It is starting.
Right? You can see the title slide.
Yep.
Perfect.
Okay. Joey has been wanting to take the CarFit training for a long time. Liz is she's heard of CarFit. So
Well, we're gonna
and
make this happen for you guys if you want it.
yes. And Janet, she's in South Florida. She's heard of the name, but not sure what it's about. And Colleen is in Columbia, South Carolina, and she's familiar with it. So awesome. Well, thank you guys for being here. Appreciate that. Okay, I'll let you go ahead and get started with the introductions and so forth. I'll be here on the side a little bit.
All right. And what I'm doing today, hi, my name's Aylan, and I'm so sorry. I've just like come down with this cold today. I feel like I've been hit by a train or allergies. I don't know. I don't usually have them, but my apologies. I keep running. Kara and I were talking about using CarFit with your organization. And so, or what do you call it, Kara? Your entrepreneur group?
Yeah, just with so with Next Level Occupational Therapy and therapists that have private practices that work in the community already. And like Joey actually has a driver's rehab business. But we have a lot of therapists that are, working in the communities with older adults. So we are put together a pilot program that we're going to do in order to help therapists go through the CarFit program and be able to do this and use it to help provide a service and support in the community where they're at.
So we're really excited. So what I'm showing you today is giving you just a snapshot of what the program is. This isn't a training in CarFit. We're going to be talking about what CarFit, kind of the scope of what CarFit provides and how it really fits for you guys. And I think how this could actually become another tool in your tool belt, if you will, to increase awareness of your programs and increase awareness of what OT does. That we support people in their community, we support people in their environments, we provide solutions when the environment's not quite working the way it needs to for an individual. And CarFit really does that with the car. So following today, we hope that each of you will be able to explain basically what CarFit is, that it has training and the roles it offers, that you will understand the value of adding CarFit to a private practice, to how you might use this. And then we'll learn about this new pilot program that Kara and I are proposing for those that want to get interested in getting started. So to start off, what is CarFit? Sounds like we have a mixture in the group. I'm just going through kind of a brief review of what it is, but what I'm going to really focus on what is CarFit from the occupational therapy perspective. Personal mobility, as we know, is critical to aging. So, and I believe a lot of the workers in this group are working with people in their homes and in community, and anyone in community needs transportation to get out of their home to the things that they need to do. So we interact with the vehicle. Age-related changes can make driving uncomfortable or unsafe. Same is true for passengers. Vehicle safety features may require adjustment to fit a driver. This is sort of your inroad using CarFit, because CarFit, it's really not universally understood how much of the vehicle right now, the vehicle design requires that the driver actually do some adjusting, making it work for them. Just hopping in and putting the seatbelt on may not optimize your safety from that seatbelt because it's against your neck, it's uncomfortable, you can't reach it. So there's a role in learning how to adjust the vehicle to optimize the safety effects of the safety features. And that's a great message for you as OTs to be part of this message of solutions. And obviously, resources can improve knowledge, safety, and mobility, the car being one of them. Just for, oops, I may not have clicked the button for you to be able to hear this video. Let me know if you can hear this.
Did you know that there are features of your car
Okay.
you can adjust to make it more comfortable and safer for you to drive? It's true. As we age, natural changes occur with our vision, flexibility, and speed of reflexes that can impact our driving, making it even more important that our cars fit us. And that's why CarFit could be a good fit for you. Developed by AAA, AARP, and the American Occupational Therapy Association, AOTA, CarFit is an educational program that promotes safe driving and mobility among older drivers. At CarFit events, trained volunteers, including occupational therapists, help drivers measure how they fit in their vehicle and offer suggestions to improve drivers' comfort, safety, and fit. Small changes like adjusting your steering wheel to ensure a clear view of the road and checking your mirrors to reduce or even eliminate blind spots are just a few of the critical checks that you can learn at a CarFit event. Best of all, it's a free, quick checkup that only takes about 20 minutes. Join us, find an event, or volunteer to help drivers in your community. Visit www.car-fit.org. See you soon.
So CarFit is built around a volunteer workforce. And before COVID, we had CarFits in all the states. And the Canadian OT Association has a CarFit program, and we work with them on using CarFit. So we've had a wonderful ability to get the word out and have these events across the country, but it depends on the volunteer workforce. And that's always a struggle. So let me talk very quickly about what CarFit is and what it is not. It's an opportunity, again, to share safety information. It's an occasion to help an older adult drive safer longer. It's fun, it's free, it's an educational event, and it's confidential. So when you volunteer at a CarFit event, when you bring CarFit to your area, you're not identifying people to take away the keys. These are the things that people are really worried about. It's not an evaluation, it's not a test. It's well within the skill set of all of you that are watching this video. It's used to determine if a person should continue to drive. It's not used to determine if a person should continue to drive. It has nothing to do with taking away the keys, has nothing to do with driver rehab. It's only about the physical environment of your vehicle. I like to say kitchens, bathrooms, and cars. We need to, if you have trouble getting off the toilet, you might have trouble getting in and out of the vehicle. We should be looking at the vehicle as an environment, just like we would look at bathrooms and we look at kitchens. And that's where OT really brings a wonderful perspective and a messaging opportunity to this really important area. So the basic premise of CarFit is we're helping people look at person to vehicle fit. And just as bathrooms are designed for a number of different reasons, the design doesn't always work for everybody, for getting up and down off the toilet or getting what they need to get done. Same with the vehicle. And we talk about that vehicles are designed for probably 90 to 95% of the people. Some even say 85%. So people that deviate in body type or stature or strength have difficulty with just the basic positioning in the vehicle. And if our positioning is off, our ability to benefit from the safety features is off. CarFit, I like to say it was born in a bar, because CarFit really started after NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, was sharing crash data involving seniors and talking about the disproportionate number of injuries for seniors in low-speed crashes from younger people. one of their conclusions was that people were not necessarily buckled up or benefiting from the safety features optimally in the car. So these three organizations, AAA, AARP, AOTA, and actually ASA, came together and said, why don't we tell them? So the basic education you're giving is about this picture, person vehicle fit, making sure that people can see out the windshield. It's pretty obvious, right? I can't tell you the number of people I have worked with. Absolutely, I swear to you, where I brought a power seat up and the woman comes up above the steering wheel and exclaims, I can see the road, and sometimes breaks into tears with their excitement. I am not joking. And absolutely, there is no way that that didn't possibly help that individual, that they can see their driving environment and they didn't even know their vehicle had the ability to have their seat adjust. So we need to make sure we have a clear line of sight. We have to look at getting our hips centered and fully back in the seat, arms on the steering wheel slightly bent, foot reaching the pedals, you can fully depress them, and protection, optimize the protection from seatbelt, head restraint, and airbag. You'll learn all about that in the CarFit training. Just as one example, I picked out just one, there's a checklist that guides the education. I just picked out one for the sake of illustrating it for this discussion. Let's talk about the distance between the chest and the airbag. You need 10 inches or more clearance between your body, or your sternum actually, and the center of the center of the steering wheel that houses the airbag, in order to give the airbag adequate space to deploy, so that the way the safety features are designed is that you are restrained with your seatbelt in a crash. The airbag deploys, you have given it space to deploy, and as your body's coming forward, you're going into the airbag as it's deflating, and your seatbelt is actually stretching. If your seatbelt's too loose, there's a gap and you go flying into it. If you're not seatbelted back, you go into that airbag that's deploying. So when people talk about being injured by their airbag, there's a contribution of not being in the right place. These airbags, this safety feature was designed that people would be restrained and back in their seat to allow it to deploy. So at CarFit, we teach people strategies. How are you going to remember to be 10 inches back? Doesn't this sound like OT? We teach strategies. We kind of have, so this woman has a basic business envelope. It's about 11 inches long. Perfect. If the thing doesn't fit between she and her steering wheel, she doesn't have 10 inches of space. So we teach people to use everyday items, or if you want to be a good marketer, you make them a nice laminated 10x3 ruler that's got your business name on it, has stuff about your business. You give them this ruler. On one side, it says CarFit, and it's got the 3x10 marking. On the other side, it's got information about your business. But I digress. This is where we can blend the awareness and blend the opportunities of the different services we offer by starting with this really fairly small, brief, but really important nugget of safety information. And we also talk to them about adjusting their seat to get in the right position. And again, it's amazing how many people don't know, even though they've got a power seat, multiple they don't even know it adjusts, or they're afraid to break it, or because you know what, we just haven't talked about it. This is not common conversations. So by having this brief conversation, when you're sitting with them, talking with them personally, and I know you can all relate from your work, when you're talking with them in their bathroom about their issues, when you're talking with them in their kitchen about their issues, when you're talking with them in their car about their issues, or just even confirming that they're doing fine, it's personal, it's positive, and it really leaves them thinking these OTs are really helpful. Part of the CarFit training materials includes an OT video, and I think it's worth our time just taking a look at this.
Occupational therapists and occupational therapy assistants are also part of the CarFit team. What we try to look at are how some of the medical conditions that people might be experiencing as they age may affect safe driving, and we try to talk with folks about possible solutions. It's not uncommon that people might be experiencing some changes in vision, changes in physical ability, and changes in cognition or thinking. So occupational therapists at the CarFit events try to look at some of the challenges we've identified and explore what some solutions might be. For example, seniors may be experiencing some difficulty getting in and out of vehicles, maybe from hip pain. They might be experiencing some changes from arthritis, which add to stiffness and difficulty turning and reaching, or they might be experiencing some change in stature, a shortening, which makes it difficult to see above the dash. So at CarFit, we look for solutions. Occupational therapists and occupational therapy assistants at CarFit focus on the older driver's goals. We don't ask what's the matter with you. We ask what matters to you, what's important, and we work on that. Occupational therapy practitioners at CarFit events bring their medical background to the final item or checkout portion of the checklist, where further
This
discussion
section
with the
shows you
driver
some
will
of the
address any
devices
challenges or
and
questions they may
adjustments.
have. CarFit understands that vehicles are designed for the stature of approximately 90 to 95% of the population. So for some drivers, simple adjustments just aren't enough. Any aftermarket device poses pros and cons when it comes to safety. The occupational therapy practitioner explores clever gadgets and strategies to help drivers improve fit and comfort. Occupational therapy practitioners will discuss any concerns a driver discloses, such as stiffness and pain, and correlate them with driving risk and possible solutions. The occupational therapy practitioner may also make drivers aware of the option to discuss concerns with their healthcare provider or to explore services offered by a driver rehabilitation program. CarFit events are intended to offer education to drivers, and it's important to note that the occupational therapy practitioners are providing education, not therapy. Safety is enhanced when people are informed, and this awareness allows drivers to make informed choices now and in the future.
So CarFit gives OT a chance to shine, to talk about some of the common dilemmas that some people are facing in their car, and introduce our profession as a profession that doesn't say, oh, that's awful, you can't do it. Instead, we say, what are we going to do about it? What are some options? What are some solutions? What are some aftermarket devices? What are some design issues? And this slide just shows you a couple of the things we have in what we call a CarFit kit. We also then talk about, and depending how far you want to go in your own materials, distinguishing the difference between public education and aftermarket devices like this and driver rehab, or in your case, remodelers. I mean, there's a sliding scale between when it's good ideas and it's advice and when you need to have the medical consultation. Same is true with the car. And it's good for people to know that if this isn't enough, if the person you're dealing with is so kyphotic or so has such difficulty with their seat position, they actually could have that seat remade through driver rehabilitation or mobility equipment dealers. Those solutions are out there, and we need to help people know that. Or that might be for their loved one or the person they transport. But I digress. But all of this gets our conversation started and gets us thinking about including the vehicle as another context that's really important. So through this pilot and through this training, you'll have the benefit of using the CarFit website and all the materials that are already created. We've got the training toolkits, we've got the PowerPoints, we have all the materials, and we have a website where you can post events if you want to use for people to be able to find your activities. And there's different models of training. So I want you to think about, oh, I meant to go into here. So CarFit events are an event where you bring together a number of community partners. You train a number of people, oftentimes between 5 and 20 people. You put on a CarFit event that might run from 1 to 3 in the afternoon, and you might run 20 cars through this event. Or you could do in-person CarFit events where you schedule and you say, I'll make an appointment on Friday afternoon at 3, and somebody can make an appointment with you and come at 3, and in 20 minutes you've gone through the checklist and they're done. And you can do any kind of sliding in between. Some people connect their CarFit with a book club at a church, or they might connect it with a circle, or they might connect it with a group at a synagogue. There's all sorts of ways of trying to tap into community volunteers. Actually, I think using CarFit as a reward for volunteer drivers or for Meals on Wheels deliverers is a really great group to tap into and meet the people that are already volunteering in their communities. So participants, I want you guys to understand the value of adding CarFit to your OT private practice. So what we're talking about in this model is we're talking about offering you a virtual training. And this is an exception to the partner rule. CarFit, as you could see, is a partner activity between AAA, AARP, and AOTA. And we've been very protective about training people virtually only because we feel the in-person part is so important. Because the vehicle is really an amazingly personal space, and how we approach people and how we start these conversations matters. We believe, Kara and I believe, and I brought this to our partners as well. OTs already have that experience. We already know how to be approaching people in the public. So we are proposing a model where we give you the full CarFit training virtually. What we're looking at is after the virtual training, that you will have the ability to implement CarFit, whether it's an event or one-to-one, or I hope both, because the events give you a different kind of an awareness than the one-to-one CarFits, and that you can look at ways to build awareness of your program, your services with your community partners. You might do a CarFit with an area agency on aging, and now they're meeting you and they're learning what you're doing and they're becoming more aware of your program. So we are proposing this pilot program, and what we want to kick it off as a pilot. So the first session will be a webinar that's 4 hours long, and you learn to actually give the CarFit checklist. I'll do a training you in the role of the technician. Then you'll have a week to practice. And then we'll have a second session where we go over the coordinator one-on-one rules, kind of make sure people's questions are answered to be able to be trained as a CarFit technician. And then Kara will also be offering a marketing session. We haven't worked out all the details and how this will be scheduled, but really being able to think about, okay, I know this model. Now I'll be able to use this model to be working on building awareness of my program in my community. So CarFit really offers us the ability to bring a piece of knowledge that's important to people. It's another one of our IADLs, and really match problems with solutions. And I think that's a real win-win. So with that, Kara, I think we can talk about what some of the questions might be.
Yeah, so one question, and this was posed in one of our groups after, I made an announcement of what we were looking at and what we were thinking. And somebody said, well, why would I want to go through the CarFit training or do CarFit if I can't charge money for it? What would be a good answer to that?
Well, because I think I'm proposing that we consider the goodwill portion of it, the awareness portion, the building community awareness of what you offer by having this be, it's almost a loss leader. By doing the CarFit in your area, you're working with community partners, you're training volunteers in your area. It's not a huge lift. A CarFit takes 20 minutes, or it might take a couple of hours to put on an event. And what you do is you bring together people that have common interests with people that are seniors, aging. And there's actually a bunch of people that use CarFit with teens too, but that's a whole nother group. By our partner agreement for AAA, AARP, and AOTA, we do not charge for CarFit. So the whole idea of it is going into this with a partnership awareness idea, and think of it as a way to make your business known, and in some ways cheaper than buying ads, because you might be able to put a flyer in a senior center about CarFit, but you've got information on there about your program. You have a way, you give a resource bag to people that come through CarFit, and they might leave with marketing information about your program. So you're absolutely right. CarFit as a model, we cannot charge for it. That's how the model has been set up.
And another question that we receive is, for instance, say you're working at a CarFit event and you identify that someone is, maybe struggling with mobility, or there's some issues that they could benefit from an OT evaluation, is it something that you can refer someone to a specific OT for an evaluation, or how would that work?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The whole idea of it is a starting point. I like to think of CarFit as like blood pressure checks at the fair. When you see someone with high blood pressure, you don't start handing out meds, right? That's not the right thing, but you certainly encourage them to go get checked out and give them an idea of why and where they might go. I mean, my Pollyanna and me, and I'm well known for being a Pollyanna, hopes that you might even think of some branches of your company that you can offer that fits a niche that you find there isn't anyone to help with, where it's not driver rehab, not about driving, but they need more guidance. If a person identifies to you, they've got an arthritis problem and they've got issues, or you might find somebody comes in, their husband has Parkinson's and they've got a bunch of issues with transferring them. Then you could give them a card or have an information sheet, make an appointment. Now you're seeing them as a therapist. So that follow-up, I think, would be fabulous. As a matter of fact, that's where we run into holes. One of my frustrations with the CarFit program is we talk to people about getting more information, and then we don't have the services out there to serve them. You could even have a sideline on your company where you go through the new technologies in the vehicle. People will pay money for those things. And they would, the coaching idea, that's not CarFit, but you could create additional ideas or additional services that could be things people could choose from following their CarFit. I think you could even sell a service to help people shop for a new car. It is really hard to figure out all these sizes and shapes. And once you, just like I think some of you might do that with people shopping for a house and helping them figure out what houses have the features that would really be modifiable for them. That can be true with a car. I think there's any number of opportunities for other services, but the CarFit event itself stays pure. That's a volunteer activity, a personal, a awareness activity, takes 20 minutes, and we go through this 12-point checklist, and we keep that separate.
So, another question is when you go through, because you said the checklist is how many points?
There's 12 items on the checklist.
And when you're going through that, what if you discover they have troubles with like the seatbelt or whatever? Can you provide any education or training there, or would you recommend a referral to do that?
That's where you will learn that in the training. What I talk about is the first level and I didn't put the training in here. The first thing you will learn is there's really 12 safety points you want to review with people, like their seatbelt. So the first thing you do is you look at the person's position in the vehicle. Are they fully in their seat? Lots of times people are actually not fully all the way back in their seat. It's amazing how that makes a difference. Then you look at what we call the OEM features. Just like you would in their house, the OEM is the original equipment from the manufacturer, or the original equipment they have in their bathroom and in their kitchen. What do they already have? And you look at that in the vehicle and you see if you can adjust it. Maybe they have a power adjuster. Maybe they have other features. Then we look at basic aftermarket devices, and we do show them those. We don't sell them there. We don't recommend. It's an education event. We give them an idea of what these things are and how they might work. And you saw in the video, we might have them try sitting on a cushion, and wow, it's better. Then you would give them maybe a handout or talk to them about where they might buy cushions in your area. We're not handing out the devices at CarFit. We're providing education that something like a cushion might help. Now, if the person you're dealing with has a lot of medical issues and you think they need a professional to talk to them about their seating, and then I would recommend, what you would do is say, there are people that can really dig deeper into this and understand what's going on. And that's when you give them information on driver rehab, or people that have advanced education Then they come back in to see that person, revealing their diagnosis, revealing their situation, and then they go for treatment. And that's a chargeable service. So this, you do learn this series of how to find the optimal fit, because a lot of times for a lot of people, it's just doing the adjusting of what's already in their car. And they're extremely grateful for you, to you for sharing and helping them see how to use what they've already paid for.
Sure. We have a question on how many staff are required to run an event?
It all depends on the size of your event, and that's kind of one of the beauties of CarFit. Generally speaking, that's why we have one-on-one. A one-on-one event ideally would be 2 adults to 1 person, just as we know about safety kind of things. I think it's always good to have two people. Plus, a second person helps with CarFit because one stands behind the car and helps see if their mirrors are adjusted. One stands behind the car to see if the lights are working. You know, so it works to have 2 people if you can, but only one of you has to be trained. You could have somebody else come up and be your helper. An event typically has about 6 to 10 people that get trained, because we have stations at CarFit. They go through check in, check up, and check out. So we have sort of a model that the car goes through to keep it organized and clear. So it's not uncommon to have a group of 10 or so people trained for your CarFit event. And then some big events, I've had 20 and 30 people trained, and we can have a lot of people coming through your event. It really depends. CarFit is very flexible to fit the size of your space and fit the size of your personnel and the size of the interest that you might have in your area.
Can you talk a little bit about the one-on-one CarFit?
Really what one-on-one is we require you to get what's called a coordinator one-on-one training. It's by that red dot there. And the reason for that is you're really managing an event by yourself. Now, those of you that are professional OTs, you already have this training and you get this, but you're still dealing with a person in their car. So you need to make sure you find a safe place. And we go through that, a safe location. You know, you're not doing it on a busy road. You are making sure that you have your supplies. You need to have, as a coordinator one-on-one, you need to still order your checklists, which are all free from AARP, by the way. These materials are all downloadable and free. So you need to have your materials and maybe have a demonstration kit of your OT of the devices. But the way it works is you go up to the car, you stand there by the car, and you go through the 12 points, providing the education as you go through it. People ask you questions. They're trying to adjust themselves and they're seeing how it all works. And you kind of work through the whole series. There are some videos and some materials on the CarFit website that we can show you that kind of model going through the checklist.
Awesome. Any other questions that you guys have that are in attendance? So there's 3 different kind of certifications, like the certified technician, then the certified one-on-one coordinator, and then the certified event coordinator.
Yes. In order to put on an event, you have to become an event coordinator. And that's added training. Oh, I guess I didn't put that really on that slide, did I? I stopped at the technician level. But we will be in our pilot training you to do all 3 levels. We will be training you to do the CarFit technician level, the CarFit one-on-one, the coordinator one-on-one level, and the event coordinator level, so that you have the option of training more technicians using the train the trainer model, and you have the option of being able to invite other people into your event.
How long does it take to, like, if you have volunteers, what kind of training do they have to go through?
That the basic training, that if you were to have a volunteer come, you would give them what's called a technician training. And that is theoretically about 4 hours. What you would do is you sit them down, ideally, and then there's variability, but ideally you sit them in a classroom of some sort where you can show a PowerPoint. We give you the PowerPoint. It takes about 2 hours to go through the PowerPoint, where we talk about each safety feature. why it's designed that way, what are the adjustabilities, and then you go outside to your own cars and you practice. We call that a lab. And so they go out to the cars and they break up into teams and they provide the checklist with each other in the technician training. Then we come back together, answer questions they may have. I wasn't sure how to do this or that. And then then they need to come to your event. The second part of the training is you need to have a small event or a big event, but it can be a small event where they actually come and they use the checklist on seniors. And that's the piece we're not making you guys do, because we think we think we don't need to supervise you interacting with seniors as a group. And so we're looking at waiving the need for you to be supervised, if you will, in your initial training. But when you're training your volunteers, you give them that classroom training, we call it. It takes about 2 to 4 hours, depending on your group. Some people are quicker learners than others. And then they just come to your event and they help at your event. And that's their second part of their training. And the website is all ready for you to manage keeping track of them, check them in as being trained, and then that adds them to the CarFit roster.
So basically though, like if we were gonna do a CarFit event, no matter what, we would have to make sure that we have a handful of others that have been through that basic training then. Like they couldn't just show up and we tell them what to do.
Correct. That would be breaking the rules. I think some people have done it, but that's really not how it's supposed to be. But you can with OTs. The other option we have if you're training OTs is we have an online training, and that's available to you. So if let's say you wanted to work on training a group of OTs in your area, they could take the online training, that's the classroom training. On the AOTA website, you get through the training, you'll get access to the links. It's a proprietary link. The CarFit training is not available in the OT store. You have to go through the CarFit program to get it. They can take those online modules, and then when they come to your event, they can come to your event. Generally, what happens is the event coordinator takes the first half hour to do a demonstration or have a first volunteer car, have somebody come through to be the first training car, and then you have your public come through. So you can absolutely do it that way. And now we've just launched, you can get CE for taking the online training. We give approval CE. And now we have also launched that you can apply for a micro credential. So once you get trained, if you're involved with one more CarFit, you can apply for a micro credential and add that to your resume. Or the people that you're recruiting, have them add that to their resume. And that some people really find that to be appealing, to be able to, again, show their boss, or if you're training people in your cohort of your employees or people you work with, you get a record, you get kind of a sense of their experience, whether they earned a micro credential.
Awesome. So I'll share with you guys, we have questions on when will you expect to roll out, or what is this projected time frame? So I'm going to share this with you. So this is the pilot program, and kind of what we're looking at is utilizing your expertise as occupational therapy, private practice owners, providing the opportunity for virtual training, helping to increase visibility in the community, building trust and credibility in the community, really showcasing our values, showcasing the value that we provide to the clients in our community, helping to build your reputation in the community, helping to increase knowledge of OT and your business in the community, and increasing community engagement and getting people involved with that. So as far as criteria, we're looking at occupational therapy private practice owners and therapy professionals with a minimum of 3 years experience. Because again, like we're saying, this is a pilot program because normally you have to have that in-person component, but with utilizing therapists with that experience and so forth, that helps us to, offer this and see how it goes with that. Obviously, people who participate will have to have access to technology because you'll have to, be able to use Zoom on your phone, iPad, or computer that's mobile. So when you go out to the car, and we do a virtual assessment, so we can see how you're doing, with the, in the car. You have to have access to a car. You're gonna be working with a peer with a virtual assessment. You're gonna have to have community interaction, because there will be time where you will have to go and do this on a community member for a case study. And, be willing to provide feedback, testimonials, and so forth, because this is part of the pilot program. So it's going to be the first one to help us make improvements and see what we need to do differently and so forth with that. The investment details with the pilot program, we're looking at $125, and that includes your CarFit kit, which would be mailed to you: the handy bar, the swivel seat, the grab and pull seatbelt reacher, the CarFit training, at the levels, the integration session, and that marketing session at the end. The continuing education, there is a $20 fee for the continuing education. Upon completion of this program, you would acquire all 3 certifications: the technician, the coordinator, and the event coordinator piece. With that, this just kind of outlines what we're looking at as far as the program. We hope to do the first session on June 3rd, I believe.
And it's already posted. When you get done, I'll show them where it is on
Okay.
the website. They can actually register if they want to.
Awesome. So June 3rd, so the process is you have to do the application, complete registration, and there's a pre-training that's online. It's about 3 hours of actual training, and then a portion of that pre-training will be completed on day 1. Then day 1 is a 3 hours and 30-minute training. It breaks it down to what we do. We're looking at about a week between day 1 and day 2, because you'll have to do your case study, and do the 12-point assessment and so forth. And then there'll be another day where we'll do the follow-up, and the event coordination training and so forth. So, and then after all of that, there'll be an additional section, where we really focus on, okay, now how are you going to do this in your practice to help you in your practice, help your community, and everything else with that. And you can also earn a micro badge with that. So that's what the proposal looks like, what we have right now. So any additional questions while we pull up the screen? To show you the CarFit website.
Are you showing that, or do you want me to?
You can show it, or I can show it, pull it up.
I have it up right now. I can.
Okay, perfect.
just don't have
I
the
will
share-
stop sharing.
I just need the
There you go.
screen share option. It may sound like a lot of time, and that's part of why we're calling it a pilot. We're not exactly sure, but I've done a lot of trainings, and it does end up taking a bit of time, because they're just like, with the work that you do, there's things to learn about and things to understand. And you really want to make sure when you're dealing with people in their vehicles that you know what you're talking about, and that you know how these features work, and that you want to, if you're working on marketing your credibility, you want to make sure that you feel really comfortable with what you're talking about. Right now, if you go to the CarFit website, which is www.car-fit.org, we've actually posted this pilot training, but we did talk about an application. So if you go in and you sign up for this, Kara's going through, we just need to make sure that the people going through the pilot have enough experience that it makes sense for the pilot. I don't know how much we can open it up after that, but we want to make sure that's why we're looking for people with 3 or more years of experience. One thing I wanted to make a comment on, I don't know if anybody noticed that we use the word occupational therapist a lot in the CarFit training. Let me give you a little bit of history on that. This is a partner activity with AAA and AARP and AOTA. whenever I was writing any of the policies and any of the manuals and writing occupational therapist, occupational therapy assistant, occupational therapy student, the editors took all that out and they would call us therapists. So I just want you to understand that CarFit and the materials are aimed toward a public audience, you know, this shared audience of AAA and AARP. We use occupational therapist, meaning an occupational therapy practitioner. And it's absolutely very appropriate for OTAs to do CarFit, for OT students to do CarFit. And we are meaning it inclusive, but you will notice in the materials that we use the word occupational therapist. We did not mean to be marginalizing anybody. We have disclaimers in the materials, but I just want to be really clear. That's why there's a difference, because the audience these things are written for is for a public audience, not an internal audience. So the way the CarFit website works, if you get involved in this program, I'll give you since we're on the screen, I'll just give you when you sign up for CarFit, you get a lot of support materials. You sign up and you create a profile so that when you go into the website, you will be given a whole lot of materials and resources to use. You can post your event that you want to have. You can post your training. You can also go over to what we call resources and tools. And I'm only showing you this because we have all of these different materials to support you. We've got event materials, posters. You don't have to use them, but you can. You can always add your logo and your information. You just need to use the CarFit one as well. We got a lot of resources up here. We have a PR toolkit with ideas for getting reporter stories. It's really great if you can get in a local newsletter. Then we have all the materials for the trainings. We've got the PowerPoint. We've got the manuals. We have this information. We've got videos that show you how to do your interacting with people. We've got the coordinator one-on-one training materials. We have the event coordinator training materials. All of that is up here. And then we have a section called CarFit University, where different experienced CarFit people are posting sort of some advice of things people have questions about. So you get a lot of support through the CarFit project. So we're hoping to start this pilot pretty soon, as you can see, next month.
You guys can feel free to talk and ask your questions as well. You don't have to use the chat, but we'd love to hear your thoughts or what you guys think or any suggestions that you have or questions.
Can you imagine this working for folks in your private practices?
Very funny, Joey. We know you qualify. So yes, are you
Joy, are you the
guys
one that
interested?
are you the one that's a driving specialist, Joy? What do
Yeah.
you think, Joy, of having pushing or encouraging people working in private practice to really use the car environment as a way to build awareness that we are out there with solutions? What do you think of that?
You know, I think this is a great program. I did not know until now that you were starting this pilot program. I think it's awesome. I kind of half joke when I say, am I qualified? Because maybe I'm the one that you're supposed to be testing.
Funny.
I've been doing this for 40 years, so I might be over that 3-year. But
It's so
no,
fun.
I think that in terms of driving, I don't think enough of us in general practice even address the concern about, is this person going to have the mobility in the community
Right.
when they leave the hospital or the rehab or whatever. So I think more general practitioners, more private practice owners addressing this topic, and then they can see some of those people that need that further
Right.
input and training evaluation by those of us that are driving rehab specialists. So I personally think this sounds an awesome program.
Well, Joy, I did not pay you to say that, but that couldn't have been more perfect. And we need bridges. We need bridges to these specialized programs. We've got so many services out there that people don't know anything about because we
Mhm.
aren't, I see CarFit as sort of a bridge program. And it opens the therapist's eyes to be thinking about, well, as I like to say, if you have trouble getting off the toilet, you're gonna have trouble getting in and out of the car. We we can't we have to think about these different contexts and then build our specialized services. And
Right.
driver rehab isn't the only one, right, Joy? There are
Oh,
other
exactly.
gradations of specialized services, and those can all be fee for service, if you will, parts of your private practice, and people are begging for it. They go through CarFit and they're like, where can I go for somebody to help me with this? And I say to your group,
Mhm.
be those people. Be those people. Let's start at the what are people asking for, and let's fill that niche. This is very doable for the OT perspective and really looking at activity analysis, problem solving through solutions. It's just such a good fit not to.
Well, and I think it might spur more OT practitioners to want to go towards the role of being more of a driving rehab specialist. In
Absolutely.
the state of North Dakota, there are 3 of us with advanced training. It's a big state to cover.
Joy, I've been doing this with CarFit since 2006. And I
Mhm.
thought that's what was gonna happen. And I
Yeah.
don't know what we're not doing, but maybe the time is right now. Because
Mhm.
I absolutely was hoping that when when somebody says, I need to see a driving program, and we say there isn't one, then we need to start one, right? That's what your whole group is about.
Mhm.
You're entrepreneurs. This is not rocket science. Um, and there is training for all of it now. We,
Mhm.
you can get support and you can get training for all these parts of it. Now we need to match the will, the interest with the different services. So I think CarFit just gives you confidence as an OT that you can think about the car too.
Mhm.
A lot of different, well, I shouldn't say a lot, you probably know the numbers, but I know some universities are training their students.
Absolutely many. That's our biggest population with CarFit. And I used to think that was going to make them all go out. See, I'm a Pollyanna. And they were all going to go on their fieldworks and do CarFit. And then they were all going to bring CarFit to their areas. Um, I wish
I
they
know,
would.
and that's where like Joey, like one thing that we could do is if we put, so we live not very far apart from each other. So, um, we should be able to find enough volunteers with our
Right.
student population to make this happen.
Exactly.
And we are rolling out very soon, possibly this week or next week, a course for faculty for how to use CarFit in their curriculum. Just to give some, Megan Edwards goes through all these AOTA standards and how CarFit can address several standards, just to help programs see the benefit of it. The programs that have been using CarFit for years are very committed to it. Again,
Right.
it allows the students to practice talking to the public about something a little bit sensitive. It's just a great bridge. Again, it's a great bridge for
Mhm.
that outreach.
Well, and I think too, and this just came when you were talking about that, because like I had my students go through CarFit when I taught. But like you said, once they leave, do they ever use it? So that's something we should almost try to tie in, right, with what we're doing with these private practice owners and really like connect these private practice owners with the colleges so that they can start to build that bridge and give them that experience. Because I know we would teach the students and then hope they do it, but we never really followed up. So, if we could connect them with private practice owners or make sure private practice owners know what schools, so we can try to get this rolling more.
And if somebody was involved in CarFit a number of years ago, just give her a refresher and get them back, get them back in the saddle. When I look
Mhm.
at our rosters, and our numbers aren't perfect today at CarFit, but we show that about 18,000 OTs have gone through CarFit.
18,000?
1,000.
Wow.
Just think if all of them really did it one more time. That's why we started the micro credential. I've set the bar. It couldn't be any lower. All they have to do is one more CarFit event after their training. I mean, really. But I think just imagine if they all, if we would do this outreach, we get a lot of accolades from our partners. NHTSA is very interested. There really is good information. We're really just doing what you're supposed to be doing with your car. When they talk about evidence-based, we're just trying to show people how these things were designed. But we as OTs are helping it work for a broader range of people and sizes and abilities, and really try to help them find that match and help it work for them.
Absolutely.
One of the stories I'll tell as we're getting to wrapping up, when we piloted CarFit back in 2006 with AARP and AAA, in all honesty, I know that those big organizations would just as soon not have been stuck with OTs because we're hard to recruit for the CarFit events. And when we did these pilots, AARP in particular and AAA came back and they said they'd never want to do a CarFit without an OT. Even though they trained a whole bunch of community volunteers, that OT, even one or two of them at that event, really enhanced the value of that event. I mean, that should give you goosebumps. It's pretty amazing that these community partners recognize the perspective the OT brought. And these are not handpicked OTs. I don't know who they are. We literally went out and recruited OTs from different areas to help with these pilots, and we universally would get that feedback. So it really is a way to showcase what we do. Areas that we've worked with AAAs. If you go into that AAA office, they know what OT is. I mean, it's really a way to increase visibility of our profession by doing something kind of good. So I think it's kind of a win-win.
Absolutely.
And I think, too, sometimes, and I don't mean this to be offensive either, but someone might take it offensive, but an OT in that has their own private practice doing CarFit versus an OT in, that works for a hospital system or whatever. I think an OT that's doing this in their private practice might take more stock and ownership because they know that it's hopefully going to be like what you said with a lost leader, like helping funnel people into their practice and getting out their name more in the community and so forth. I don't mean that to be negative, but it just feel like that might be the case.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with selling our wares. There is absolutely nothing wrong with telling people that there are services out there that could be able to help them, or that's awareness building. Absolutely. But what you're not doing is you're not selling to people, and you're not making them buy a cushion from you, even if they don't need it. And again, that's a bad example, but that's a reason we have the OTs involved in this, because we're really looking at the ethics and looking at helping people be aware of solutions and opportunities that they can have in their community. And let's just get this OT workforce more visible. We are such well, I could get in trouble for this one, but we're such an invisible profession. And this is really an opportunity to be visible. And we tend to shine at these CarFit events. So we're trying to remove the barriers. Kara came to us and said, let's get this to happen easier. We're trying to remove the in-person training barrier. That's a big move for CarFit. That's why we're calling it a pilot. But we think you guys are up to the task, that we can count on you to protect the brand. I think that was one of my slides. I didn't go in. We have to protect the brand. It's a partner organization, our partner activity. I don't think we have a problem with that. I think that you guys can learn virtually and then be able to use this as a vehicle, so to speak, for building awareness of your broader services that you do.
Right.
So Kara is going to be the point person now for helping us figure out how to select people for the pilot, right?
Yep. But basically, yeah, if you guys can go to that website, and if you're interested, apply or to fill out the application. And then we have,
There's no application on the website, Kara.
don't they have to, do they have to sign up though, or
They
register?
would have to sign up, and then we have a list of their email addresses, and
Okay.
then we can contact them through their email address.
Yeah. So once you sign up, then we will, contact you just to make sure that you meet the other requirements and stuff, so.
We don't
But
expect
again-
that to be a problem, but I think it's important for the pilot that we want to have a narrower field for a pilot, and then we'll figure out how to broaden it.
Yeah, I mean, our hope is we can expand it more, right,
Right.
to reach more people, but
Right.
good way to start, so.
I want to be in it.
Sounds good.
I think you're gonna be one of our
Yep,
leads.
I'm,
I'm writing down that name.
you're registered.
Oh, okay, so I don't have to go to the website because you know
Well,
that stresses me out,
No,
Karen.
you do have to go to the website and sign up, because that is how we're going to manage the rosters.
The website isn't that hard though, right?
I don't know. I've been on that website before and they're all hard for me to navigate.
We launched a brand new one year ago in January.
Okay,
It's easier.
okay,
What-
good.
I would want to do it. I just feel like I might be the only one down here. And then how
Are you
how
in
would that help?
Florida? Are you the one? in-
Yeah. South
You know,
Florida.
you've got the most CarFits in the nation in Florida, and you have Fran in Florida. You have got so much CarFit support in Florida. You even have tchotchkes that say CarFit that you can get a hold of that in Florida. I mean, you're in the easiest state to do CarFit.
So how do I meet those connections then?
You talk to me.
Okay. So
And
you'll have,
Get involved in this program.
uh-huh.
Joy, were you ever in CarFit? Are you in the system?
No, I have not been.
Oh, okay. I was looking.
I
you up
started my
first.
business right about COVID time. And
Okay.
so I didn't get involved at that point, but
That's
I've been
okay, I just-
wanting to.
Oh, you are registered in Cummings? Are you? in-
Yeah, yeah.
You
I'm
signed
registered.
up once, but you haven't done anything.
Okay, there you go.
All right, so you can use the email address you have. Is it okay? Are you still recording?
I will stop recording.
Joy, this has your